And we are live.
Yay! I am Old New Dude, and he is.
Richard York, Astra's Trueborn son. And I was just telling an old new dude that when I went back to leave a comment, it sounded a little more crisp and clear on my microphone than before. So I think it's working.
It
Like
should
you
be.
said, we never thought that it was that bad, but hopefully it's
Yeah.
better.
Which is proof that I never go back and watch our videos or live streams.
I was snapping on Monday, so I couldn't say May the 4th be with you, says Mother Royne. Hello, hello, says Triss.
And
Good
yesterday
to have
was
you.
Revenge of the Fifth.
Or El Cinco de Mayo.
Man, well, Star Wars fans would say Revenge of the Fifth.
Okay, fair enough. And then was like the 14th is George's birthday, and the 21st is the anniversary of the release of Star Wars, something like that. Was that like 1977 or something, 76, something like that? Anyway,
All I know is that he sold his very first story the same year and month I was born.
okay.
The story was called The Hero. He sold it to Galaxy Magazine or something like that. I've been
So,
going back and watching George interviews.
oh, I was talking about George Lucas. I was still
Oh,
on
my
Star
bad.
Wars.
Yeah, my bad. I had George R. R. Martin on the brain.
No, I was thinking of Lucas because yeah, good point. George, that's the man. That's the main George, as far as we're concerned, is George R. R. Martin. All right.
I don't even know
Okay.
George R. R. Martin's birthday.
Yeah. When is George R. R. Martin's birthday? Um, I know he's more than 2 years younger than the current president. Because we had that discussion recently. Uh, da, 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 da. September 20th. Okay, 48.
Okay,
1948.
48.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and
I knew the year.
yeah, like I said, more than so Flag Day on Flag Day is going to be Trump's 80th birthday. So yes, George is less than 2 years older, a little more than 2 years younger than Trump, for whatever that's worth. Um, Evening, everyone, says Kirsty. All right. Evening. All right. So we were working through Toodles. We just sort of started at the beginning with his first. He has the section called where to start, and we were
I got
starting
to
on that
correct.
first one.
I
Okay.
don't remember the exact day what it was, but I had said that when they had mentioned about John taking the black, that Ned turned from the window with tears in his eyes. I was wrong. When they were suggesting that he had to go south and leave Winterfell, he turned from the window with moisture around his eyes. When they mentioned about John taking the black, um, Ned says, and a bastard can something make a place for himself. I forget the exact words, but he's not nearly as upset with the John part as I remember. I got the two parts conflated or confused.
Oh, it's him.
And
It's him partying with Cat. That's rough for him. Okay.
him parting with Cat or him parting with Winterfell,
Oh, okay. Fair enough. But that's even
because
more.
he's
Okay.
pretty clear on you're staying here and I'm taking the kids, but you're staying here for Rob. Um,
Okay. So you're saying he's it's it's
I don't
it's as
order
much
that.
about leaving. Well, I mean, he's leaving a lot of people too. He's leaving Bran. He's leaving Rob.
Rob.
Oh wow. Oh no. Oh yeah. Because originally he wanted to take Bran, but he's
Mhm.
not. Yeah. So
Yeah.
it's
Hopefully,
interesting. It's interesting. He literally leaves all his sons behind. Huh.
right,
He didn't plan to, but he does. Huh.
right.
Anyway. All right.
Yeah, I mean, what was before you get going, I mean, it was on my mind. I figure I at least had to speak on it. Um, give me just a
Oh
second.
yeah. Yeah. Or I can go to Search of Ice and Fire, and uh, that's going to be in Cat 2, which we're very familiar with. That's where we started, right? Uh,
Yeah.
so what did you say? Turn?
What?
Uh, I will refuse him, Ned said as he turned back to her. His eyes were haunted, his voice thick with doubt. Ned turned away from her, back to the night. He stood staring out in the darkness, watching the moon and the stars, perhaps, or perhaps the sentries on the wall. She was about to go when the knock came at the door, loud and unexpected. Ned turned, frowning. What is it? He turned away from them, did not, and went to the window. She did not speak, nor did the maester. They waited, quiet, while Eddard Stark said a silent farewell to the home he loved. When he turned away from the window at last, his voice was tired and full of melancholy, and moisture glittered faintly in the corners of his eyes. No, you're right. It is. It's when.
Yeah. And when it comes to John, um, Maester Lewin said, "There is great honor in the service on the wall, my lord." And this is for those that get to where Ned never calls John a bastard. They're wrong. And he says, "And even a bastard may rise high in the night's watch." Ned reflected. Still, his voice was troubled. John is so young. If he had asked this when he was a man grown, that would be one thing. But a boy of 14, and then of course the Lewin kind of, well, a hard sacrifice. Yet these are hard times, my lord. But I mean, I always, for some reason, had it in my head that it was John taking the black that had Ned's eyes moistening up. That hadn't been mentioned
You're
yet.
right. It's specifically about him leaving Winterfell. So is the way it's phrased. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, I mean, where the Green Hand pointing at, well, this is all planned by Maester. The way Kat reads in that chapter, it doesn't seem like, one, she didn't know about the letter, what was in the letter ahead of time, or she wouldn't have had to remember the forgotten language her and Lysa the had and everything. So I mean, it's all solely about
Supposedly,
having to leave
supposedly,
Winterfell.
I'm not sold that that's even a thing.
Well, granted, I mean, they might have conspired against John because she
I'm
pretty
not.
much figured Ned was going south,
I'm not
and
convinced there's a secret language at all.
the way she reads it.
Why do you believe there's a secret language? I think she's
She's
lying. There's signs. We talked about this at the time. It's strongly implied that she's lying. If you pay careful attention, she specifically says if anybody found this, it would be treason. It would and Lysa would be killed. And she burns the letter and makes sure that Ned doesn't see it. So
Yeah.
why would you do either of those things? Neither of those things makes any sense if she's telling them the truth about it being a secret language. I don't think there's a secret language. I think
Yeah,
because it makes if she's lying to keep him from reading it, then it makes sense to say there's a secret language, and it would make
right.
sense to believe that if somebody's found it, they would be in trouble and to have to burn it. But you don't have to burn a secret language. You don't claim that you get in trouble if people found it if it's in a secret language. So it only makes sense if she's lying about it being in a secret language.
Well, I mean, here's the
She
passage.
remembered. She
I
remembered doesn't
agree.
necessarily mean that it's in a secret
I
language.
agreed with the Green Hand when they said it, and I probably agreed when we talked about it. But as I'm going back through looking for hidden fingers, this one little small paragraph, her eyes moved over the words. At first, they made no sense to her. Then she
Right.
remembered. Lysa took no
Yes.
chances. When we were girls together,
Uh-huh.
we had a private language. She and I. Her eyes moved over the words. At first, they made no sense to her. That's in her head. That's not outspoken. That's not
I
said
know.
out loud.
I
Okay.
know. I know.
Mm.
That's because what's being said in there is your children are bastards or something like that. I mean, it's stuff that doesn't make any sense.
Mm-hmm. Okay, yeah, I remember the conversation now.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely ambiguous. I get
How
that, right?
dare I argue with
I understand.
myself? Apparently, I was right.
I understand what you're saying. That one way to take that is no, for the words to literally make no sense to her, it has to be in a secret language. That's another way to take it. I took it as the words were so shocking that they made no sense to her. Then
Yep.
she realizes what's being said, and then she makes up the story about it being a secret language. That's how I take it. That doesn't mean that that's right. I mean, I get why it's clearly intended for the audience to believe that it really isn't a secret language from that she really can't make any sense of those words. That's absolutely the intent. That's absolutely the intent.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree completely. I remember, I sort of vaguely, barely remember the conversation.
Yeah. Well, we definitely talked about that.
I got to argue with myself. I was right the first time.
Anyway, I find it weird that George uses moisture for tears, and glitter sounds like the wall was made with tears. Ned's tears and the wall have similar sort of language descriptions. Well, yeah, and it's specifically tastes of salt or something when Bran is going under it, doesn't it? I'm pretty sure that when Bran goes through the wall,
through the gate,
Storm. That's at the end of Storm. Is that what that is?
Yeah, he's going through the gate with the ugly face that widens open. The tears from the door taste of salt.
Yeah. So I think there's something to that. Absolutely, that it's supposed to that he's linking that to salt.
Well, I mean, when it comes to the haunted forest, the wall, a lot of stuff, he gives them human traits and descriptive words that he gives humans in the story. He uses those same words to describe inanimate object, or supposedly inanimate.
Bran is Azor Ahai confirmed.
What's that?
Bran is Azor Ahai confirmed.
Gendry?
Bran. Everybody. That's the point, right? That he's got clues everywhere about everybody.
Well, that's the thing. Well, going back to what I like I said, I vaguely remember the conversation. I agreed with it. I agreed when Order of Greenham was speaking on it. I agreed when we were speaking on it. On what was written in that note was what was needed to be said to get the reaction out of Cat. But now I just reread that chapter.
No, I get absolutely why.
Out of it, it's the way George writes. It's
yeah.
It's which weed in his garden does your brain down?
And that's my question is, and that becomes the question is, which can you make? How can you make it make sense? So the door's upper lip brushed softly against the top of Bran's head, and a drop of water fell on him and ran slowly down his nose. It was strangely warm and salty as a tear, right? So he's born under salt and smoke or whatever. Anyway, Christy says the wall is a firewall. It's covered in niter. Looks like snow. The wall is going to explode. Yeah. I mean that's the so David Lightbringers says that the name of the guy who's trapped, who you can hear picking, is was it like arson fire or something or other? I can't remember. It's got to be either Storm or Dance. It's probably John chapter, but I guess it could be.
I think it's John chapter.
Yeah, it's probably John chapter. I guess it could be Sam or something, but.
Egret telling him about the former king
feast. Arson. Is it arson?
I don't remember.
The Magnar nodded. Even in far Then, we know the tale of Arson Isaacs and his tunnel.
Isaac, that's what it was.
John knew the tale as well. Arson Isaacs had been halfway through the wall when his tunnel was found by raiders from the Night Fort. They did not trouble to disturb him in his digging, only sealed away behind with ice and stone and snow. Dolores said used to say that if you pressed your ear flat to the wall, you could still hear Arson chipping away with his axe. So arson is usually done with fire. That's LML's point there, right? Lightbringer's point there is that arson.
Christmas story is better to stick your ear to the wall than your tongue. The other thing is arson makes you think of fire, and we both believe that there is an ice dragon trapped in the wall.
And I believe you're hearing the beat of the heart of the ice dragon when you do that.
That, and also, does the ice dragon breathe icy fire, or does he fire icy breath?
Yeah. But yeah, and dragons are fire made flesh, and the ice dragon is sort of ice made flesh, and so forth. And yeah, Yeah. Anyway, that's where we were. That's why. That's why I was bringing that up.
Fire
That's
and
exact.
ice.
We're,
Yeah, both fire and ice burn. So if to arson is used to burn something,
right.
then you can burn it with ice. It's like that scene in The Punisher where he's using a popsicle and the guy thinks he's getting a welding torch on him. I don't know if you've seen that or not. The guy's hanging upside down. The guy, Nathan Lane, whatever his name was, had that popsicle and then the blowtorch cooking himself a steak. He's like, as soon as it hits you, the nerve endings burn and it makes it feel like it's ice cold. And he takes the torch and hits the steak with it, then sticks the popsicle in the guy's back, and the guy's freaking out, thinking he's getting. Never mind. I know. Chris remembers that movie.
I may have seen it, but I don't remember it.
The things that I actually remember is weird.
2 Rosetta Stone vignettes. Lysa's letter. Hey, there we go. Lysa's letter. And Sirius Fable. That's pretty funny that the very next thing we were supposed to talk about was Lysa's letter. We've been talking about Lysa's letter.
And I did not know any of that ahead of time.
Oh, no, neither I did not realize that was what I was about to read. Wow. Anyway, as we're wondering what the fuck is going on, and accordingly realizing that the story we are reading feels at least as much like a mystery novel on crack and in disguise as it does a prototypical fantasy story, GRM quickly feeds us 2 vignettes, Lysa's letter and Sirius' story about the Sea Lord's cat, which collectively invite us not just to suspect that there might be many and more in-world secrets beyond those that are made plain, that there truly are wheels within wheels within wheels, as Ned puts it, beyond those that are obviously at issue, but to begin to doubt the innocence of the text itself, to wonder whether the words we are reading aren't merely the accidental way a story was written down so as to entertain, but perhaps also a kind of self-aware, consciously textual text that has been in significant ways contrived so as to subtly connote and foreshadow the truth in ways that will only become fully apparent when A Song of Ice and Fire is reread after it's been completed and its hidden truths have thus been revealed. Lysa's many-layered letter, and of course I would argue that that's what Gene Wolfe teaches people to do. Lysa's many-layered letter. Consider first the case of Lysa's letter. A letter for Catelyn is delivered not to Catelyn, but to Luwin. It's hidden inside a secret compartment in a box containing a seeming gift of a telescope lens, a lens which is in turn a kind of code signifying the existence of the aforementioned hidden letter. Then the letter proves to be itself encoded, and later we realize it was actually bullshit and that Lysa wasn't its true author. What's fascinating to me about this sequence is the way it isn't played for drama, save in a momentary passing sense. That is, we're simply told in short order about all these layers of coding and secrecy. They don't create any kind of dramatic obstacle themselves. We aren't shown any kind of substantial dramatic struggle to figure out what's going on. We're simply told about it, all this in an almost abstract, removed, half after the fact way. As if GRM felt it was important to place before us the ideas of coded hidden messages and things being and conveying more than they seem. Let's take a look. Catelyn was about to go to Ned when the knock came at the door, loud and unexpected. Ned turned, frowning. What is it? Esmond's voice came through the door. My lord, Maester Luwin is without and begs urgent audience. You told him I had left orders not to be disturbed? Yes, my lord. He insists. Very well. Send him in. Right away, then, we have a kind of facsimile of struggle. The bearer of the message of an important would-be purported truth has to get past an obstacle, a guard designed to keep people like him out. I'm not suggesting this is dramatic in-world, nor to readers, not in the least, but it's a kind of nod to the idea of having to work to discover the truth, right? Ned crossed the wardrobe and slipped on a heavy robe. Catelyn realized suddenly how cold it had become. She sat up in bed and pulled the furs to her chin. Perhaps we should close the windows, she suggested. Ned nodded absently. Maester Luwin was shown in. The Maester was a small gray man. His eyes were gray and quick, and saw much. His hair was gray, what little the years had left him. His robe was gray wool trimmed with white fur. The stark colors.
Secret Stark.
Stark colors, yep. It's great.
Well, no, he's got gray eyes and he's small.
Okay. Its great floppy sleeves had pockets hidden inside. Luwin was always tucking things into those sleeves and producing other things from them, books, messages, strange artifacts, toys for the children. With all he kept hidden in his sleeves, Catelyn was surprised that Maester Lewin could lift his arms at all. And he bolds pockets hidden inside through with all he kept hidden in his sleeves. The conveyor of the message, Lewin, is thus himself introduced as a kind of container of secrets, of hidden things. He's also coded as a kind of trickster, inasmuch as he forever has things literally up his sleeves, so to speak. Finally, he's also a maester, so here he seems almost like the embodied idea of hidden, potentially tricksy truths and knowledge. The Black Gate mouth parallels the entrance mouth to hell in myth literature, so beyond the wall could be considered as the other world, and frozen fire in some cultures, myth, and religions is hellfire. Okay, yeah, that makes sense. The maester waited until the door had closed behind him before he spoke. My lord, he said to Ned, pardon for disturbing your rest. I've been left a message. Ned looked irritated. Been left? By whom? Has there been a rider? I was not told. Ned thus foregrounds the usual methods of message delivery and observes that norms have been violated. He's also irritated, almost as if he doesn't want to know. He's especially aggrieved that he was not told. As the reader's primary ego stand-in early on, I have to wonder whether GRM isn't making wry comment on what he knows will be some genre fans' refusal to believe that the text of A Song of Ice and Fire might be doing anything more than simply relating an ordinary fantasy story in an ordinary, accidental fashion, at least barring some authorial announcement of textual chicanery. I was not told, such a reader might cry. Oh, weren't you? Or is GRM in fact telling us that what his text will do right now via the very scene containing Ned's exclamation of anger over an against protocol delivery of a hidden doubly coded message, which, as we'll see, is just one of many instances of GRM signposting that A Song of Ice and Fire is very much a metatextual project. Lewin confirms that the coded message he carries, hidden up his sleeve, is unusual. There was no rider, my lord, only a carved wooden box left on a table in my observatory while I napped. My servants saw no one, but it must have been brought by someone in the king's party. We've had no other visitors from the south. Which, of course, the fact that he's assuming it's from the south is largely because it's addressed to Catelyn, I suppose, and why would anyone from the north be addressing Catelyn?
Wax on there that shows the falcon and moon, so he knows it's from the Vale.
Supremacy Tully, I'm here. And Baylor Blakespeare? Is it Blakespeare?
Yeah, Blakespeare.
Okay. Hey guys, only a little late this time. Well, glad you could join us.
Appreciate it.
All right. Before we even get to the message itself, a mystery is foregrounded. Who brought it? We still don't know. A wooden box, you say? Catelyn said. And of course, that's at the time. There's some stuff before that. It seems like Catelyn is trying to distract from. But anyway, you got it. Good, got it right. Inside was a fine new lens for the observatory. From Muir, by the look of it, the lens crafters of Muir are without equal. Ned frowned. He had little patience for this sort of thing, Catelyn knew. A lens, he said. What has that to do with me? And it's interesting that Catelyn already thinks that this is for this sort of thing. So Catelyn clearly knows this isn't about the lens, right?
Right.
Lewin at the Game of Thrones show was giving Stark kids, or just Bran, medicine every day. Does he do that in the books? I don't think so. I mean, they were definitely giving Bran like honey and stuff, right, to keep him alive when he was in a coma. They were dripping food and sustenance into him to keep him alive. House Tully. Anyway, what has that to do with me? I asked the same question, Maester Lewin said. Clearly there was more to this than the seeming. Out of the heavy weight of her furs, Catelyn shivered. A lens is an instrument to help us see. And of course, we kept pointing out all this contradictions about how Kat has talked about how warm the bedroom is, but it's gotten cold, and she's shivering under the heavy weight of her furs in the warmest room in the warmest spot in the north.
Well, I mean, when people get scared, they tend to get cold. Also, Ned's
Yeah.
got multiple
Well,
windows open.
we were pointing out all these times that he's sort of giving you these ambiguous shivers and chills and things when people are really scared, right?
Right.
And that was part of our point. Is Kat said that Ned had never scared her, and yet she's clearly scared of him in this chapter. Other than when Chardane comes up, and of course, right. Anyway, the Superman, yeah, Superman,
My shirt.
absolutely. Oh,
And I realized this has got Tully colors on it too. I didn't plan that; it just happened that way.
Kellen shivered. A lens is an instrument, I will see. Indeed it is. He fingered the collar of his order. A heavy chain worn tight around the neck beneath his robe, each link forged from a different metal. Catlin could feel dread stirring inside her once again. What is it that they would have us see more clearly? The very thing I asked myself. Mr. Loon drew a tightly rolled paper out of his sleeve. I found the true message concealed within a false bottom when I dismantled the box the lens had come in, but it is not for my eyes. I wonder if the glass lens sees the supernatural, otherworld, fey realm that man cannot. Given Lewin's lack of belief, I doubt that that's the case in here, but it wouldn't surprise me if there's something to that. As already noted, this secret message containing the purported truth of John Aaron's death is hidden from plain view, its presence signified by a bit of foregrounded, in-world symbolism. We don't watch a POV character work this out slowly for themselves, perhaps realizing days later that what the lens really means. We're simply told about this in what seems almost like a wry, super condensed pastiche of the deductive sequences in a typical detective story. For me, the implications are clearly metatextual. We're being told what kind of text we're reading, one in which things are not as they first appear, one in which the words may not merely serve their banal seeming function, much as the lens is not really there as a gift for Lewin's telescope as it first appears. Further, even once this is worked out, more work needs to be done. The false bottom has to be discovered, even once we suspect something like a false bottom might be there. And then the code has to be decoded, and still that may be a false path. Ned held out his hand. Let me have it then. Lewin did not stir. Pardons, my lord. The message is not for you either. It is marked for the eyes of the Lady Catelyn and her alone. May I approach? This feels again like a sort of schematic nod to would-be truth being delivered in indirect, unconventional, unexpected ways. An important to the characters and to us message is delivered to a trick-coded intermediary rather than to its intended recipient. And then the message proves to be not for whom it seemed was assumed, but for someone else. Might something analogous prove in some sense true of A Song of Ice and Fire? Yes, especially in as much as characters may say or think things that are as much for us as for their in-world object, as here.
All right. You know my hidden fingers thing. All right, it's not a false bottom; it's a false top. We can't see the player above the person that we're watching, and it is not the person that we think that is being moved, but that person is being moved to move another person.
Sure.
Playing on what you just said, it's not
right.
It's not Ned being moved; it's the movements of Ned that move other players on the board.
Yeah, and there's some discussion, and that's sort of like this in the Book of the New Sun, where he talks about it talks a lot about symbols and the importance of symbols and the different layers of understanding of them and right. So very much the same concept, right? It explains it, but then we can see it at this level, then it's like this, and then if we look at this again at this deeper level, and it's like this, and, and it's the same thing. It's the author telling you, by the way, I believe in symbols and stories in which they can be reinterpreted at additional depth and so forth, right? And George is doing the same thing, and that's his point. And of course he is.
Yeah. Well, I was telling Chris, I started writing down movements of Danny, movements of John, and the movement of one person in the story, Ned Stark, affected both. The movement of Ned affected where John ended up. The movement of Ned was on the King's Road when the king got the letter about Danny marrying the Horse Lord, and Ned talks him out of sending daggers then. You know what I'm saying? It's not until later when he finds out that she's pregnant that he forgets what Ned tells him and sends the daggers to kill her and everything. If Ned hadn't been with Robert at on the King's Road going south, then her story would have been completely different. She would probably have died.
So I went ahead and pulled up that the Joe magician tweet. Because again, you can understand why this so offended me and why I felt like it was directed at Toodles and Adam Feldman. Is it Adam Feldman's the right name? Anyway, you know the Myronese block guy that we also like and read.
Yeah.
So I call it. I titled my note on this worst take ever. So. This is a tweet, and I've got a bookmark to it too. But anyway, I don't know. It may not be there anymore. A lot of people deleted their tweets and things. So I've seen a lot of bad takes. This is this is the opposite of correct. So I'm going to be reading a quote, a tweet that is the opposite of correct. Anyway. I've seen a lot of bad takes about A Song of Ice and Fire, but A Song of Ice and Fire is a mystery novel. It's one of those horrifically bad takes that is also really revealing. It says a lot about how someone is engaging with those books to treat them like a long series of clues deliberately meant to trick you, right? And then here's a quote from the Myronese Blot. I now firmly believe that It Is with Dragons is the smartest, most complex, and most thought-provoking book in the series. It's very carefully constructed, yet quite subtle, and therefore rewarding of rereads, close analysis, and an effort to engage. In particular, the Marine plotline is quite ingeniously constructed by Martin to mislead fans in certain ways, right? And again, I should have then added the quote by George where he says, "This is 100% correct."
Exactly.
Anyway, I'll have to track that quote back down and stick that on here so that I have those three back to back to back. No, Joe. No. Yeah, you could not be more wrong. Anyway, back to Toodles. Oh, actually, let's get to Kirsty. Why then did he study higher mysteries? That clay replica he made of Bran was a golem. Telling him the story of climbing the wall, falling, and breaking it was a spell he cast on Bran that then made it happen. Huh. Well, yeah, and you're right. He definitely did. He definitely does have the Valyrian gold, Valyrian steel link, right? Valyrian steel link that means that he tells Bran that, right? He tells Bran, I studied it, and it's and trust me, magic is gone. Basically, is what he tells him, right? So Kirsty's argument is that he's lying. Kirsty's argument is that he's lying. That's interesting, and that could be.
Yeah, I do agree that someone had a hand in Bran climbing and falling that day. Just as I say, there was someone had a hand that tried to stop him. Because as he goes to climb the sitting tree,
Summer's definitely trying to stop him.
Yeah, he gets halfway up. Summer starts howling.
Yeah, Summer's definitely trying to stop him. It's very clear that Summer's trying to stop him.
So either, if there's two players in a big giant game, there is either both players can, because we've seen Jojen Reed and Melisandre affect Ghost. Either both players can affect the dire wolves, and one of the players was using the dire wolf to try to stop Bran, and then the other one brought Summer and the other dire wolves in life, or the person that sent Summer to Bran is the one that tried to stop him from falling. But if he doesn't fall, he goes south. He doesn't become future Bran, whatever it is.
It's like everything was premeditated in the fall of Winterfell, and certain people, including Cat, played a part in it. Yeah, and I do think that's right. Right, that part of, well, let's be clear. I still don't know whether it's like two people looking back in the past and changing things, or it could be that there's one like eternal person from the past who can see the future and is making changes as they go. Or right, there's two different, there's multiple different ways that you could be interfering with the timeline. It could be that you can see the future and you're changing it currently, or it could be that you're looking back in the past from the future, right, and making changes. But it's definitely the case that we're talking about some interference going on, right? Some combination of and as we said, we think based on how George believes in getting around some of the paradoxes of time travel, it's likely to be based on the quantum leap theory, right? Which is that you're working with people's free will, especially those moments when they could go one way or another, and a slight nudge will then change the world, right? Um, so that's kind of how George does his time travel and his stories. He's got essentially a deformed chess playing like Tyrion style guy who goes into the past in I think it's called Under Siege, which yes I know it's a Steven Seagal movie, but it's also a George R. R. Martin story. And then he's also got the Unsound Variations. Both of them are about chess players. Funny how that works. George is a big chess player. Anyway,
That's why I think this is just a giant chess-like game being played.
And the chess story seems to be kind of a riff on the Rice Gambit. So, which is an actual chess opening that this wealthy guy loved so much that he was like getting all the world's best chess players to come and play his opening, which required a minor piece sacrifice in the opening. Capablanca had determined that it was definitely fairly easy for the opponent to force at least a draw once you've done that sacrifice. And there's actually, once computers got to the point where they could fully explore it, it was clear that there was actually a really, really long series of very, very difficult to see moves that made it really, really bad if you saw these series of brilliant moves that could exploit it. And in the story, the character, the time traveler, had basically gone back and tried it himself over and over again to try and win the game after making the sacrifice, and had come to the conclusion that it couldn't be done. And he because he's a time traveler, he used computers, and he fully analyzed and determined there's no way you can never win if you make the sacrifice. You can't. It's that's why it's called Unsound Variations, right? And then he used his time traveling to basically ruin all the lives of all the people that bullied him for the fact that he didn't make the sacrifice when they were convinced he could have won the game if he made the sacrifice. So he gets them all there and he tells them, I ruined all your lives. I went back in time. I'm a time traveler and I've destroyed you. And anyway, that's basically the point is that George believes in the quantum leap theory, this idea that your conscious might be able to go back and nudge people to change their 50-50 decisions. And that usually means to avoid paradox that you don't go back before your own birth, right? Your own conception.
That embers of your personality can be framed to increase that trait, whether it's jealousy, envy, lust, love.
But once you nudge somebody in that direction, that nudge carries forward and backward in time. That's what we've proposed. That we see some people with these insistent
with saving the children.
Yeah,
there's two things that are accomplished there. Is he saves the right child, and two, George, if he's always concerned about the children, we don't know which child was the one that had to be saved.
Kirsty, you've hit on one of the great mysteries of is it a George mistake or what? But Catelyn tells us that the old maester at River Run is not Lewin, even though Lewin's the one that delivered all her children. But we actually see the maester at River Run, and he's been there forever. So Peter probably doesn't have much of a relationship with Lewin from River Run. That doesn't mean that he's conspired with Lewin in some way, but and Lewin my take on it is that Lewin was dispatched to Catelyn when they knew that she was pregnant to stay with her and go with her to Winterfell, and that Wallace Flowers was
Hey, look, Robert had his own maester that he gave to Sir Barristan Selmy on the Battle of the Trident.
right.
What if the maester of Riverrun went with the Tully forces, and Lewin was an understudy or the next force, so he was left at Riverrun, and
somebody
then since
sent him
the maester of Riverrun and the Riverrun or Winterfell
yeah,
maester,
no, that makes sense.
Would have gone north to. So yeah,
stayed with her during the birthing,
but
and then with
that time, Peter wasn't there.
They don't care.
They didn't help that one out. Sorry.
Yeah, no, that's perfect. That's perfect. But that does mean that, like we said, that Peter doesn't have as much of an opportunity to conspire with Lewin as you might think from the fact that. But yeah, no, I like that. That does make sense. Somebody had to be there for the delivery, while Ned had his maester and Poster had his maester.
When they left Riverrun, the Ned they only had one night together. So
no, you're right.
Even though Cat was pregnant.
No, you're absolutely right. That makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
Peter's brothel in show had the bottom floor all black and white checkers like a chessboard, and also parallels alchemy. Okay, yeah. That makes sense. Yeah. Good call.
Yep. Which I think Peter is. He's not a player. I think he's being played, whether it's the Three-Eyed Crow or somebody else. But he is moving people on the board, but he is moving them because he is being moved. And I don't give as much credit as I think people think I do. But yeah, there's a lot that happens. He's one of the people. Varys is one of those people. There's a lot of people in this story. A lot of them that have magic.
I'm sorry, I don't know that name, Varys. Did you mean Dorcas?
Dorcas.
Anyway, George said the best magic is written in the language of dreams, so that works into the quantum thing, doesn't it? Yeah, it's very similar, absolutely.
And entering a man's dream, like Peter tried to do with, tried to do.
I really need to know where Wallace is now. Ned sent him away to read those stories. I mean, I thought you were with us in the Order of the Green Hand on where Wallace is. I think you know exactly where Wallace is.
Yeah, Hall and Halfmaster.
Yeah, exactly. Stories has come upon a few streams, and it was checked that Lewin was a maester at Riverrun. I'm sure we've looked into it multiple times.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, it was Order of the Green Hand that pointed out that if Lewin had delivered all of Cat's children, he would have delivered Robb at Riverrun and then came up from Riverrun. But that doesn't necessarily mean.
No, we've definitely discussed this, and the fact that it's somewhat, it becomes somewhat ambiguous as to what was happening and so forth. And yeah, I don't doubt that we probably said that he was the Maester of Riverrun, but he definitely wasn't. I mean, he was a Maester. He seems like he was at Riverrun, but he wasn't the Maester of Riverrun. Even that we may have specifically said that he must have been when we got to that part of the read through as well. And good evening, the Green Bard, says Kirsty. Yeah, good to have Guy here.
Oh yeah. We're sending people your way the other day there, Guy.
Oh yeah. People asked about the shirt, but I had to point them at you. So I like this shirt for if we're talking about Toodles, I like the shirt. If we're talking about Danny, I like this shirt. If we're talking about young Griff, I like the Order of the Green Hand shirt. And then most of the time I wear the Trip to Targaryen shirt.
I was going to ask. You know how George sometimes forgets eye colors, and he has people to remind him. A horse changes sex between one book and the next. What if the lemon tree outside the window was a goof on his part? Nope.
No. Come on. He had that email pretty early on. No. I've heard people theorize this, that it was a mistake, and now he's like enjoying the mistake, and so he's like, I've heard. In fact, I think maybe Girls Gone Canada was claiming that, but like I don't know when that email was from. Let me see here. I have. Let me see if I can find that. I have um, Lemongate. Let's see what we got here. Do I have? Do I have that quote? I didn't call it Lemongate. What did I call it? I feel like I have the quote from George. Um, if you search for it, it actually brings up an image of the email rather than the email. So I wrote it down at one point. So I guess I have to search for it to get the. Meant to say I need to read unsound variations. Know where Wallace is. Definitely know where Wallace is. Okay. Oh yeah. Okay. Yeah, unsound variations. Like I said, it's really it seems to be based on the Rice Gambit because it's kind of it definitely reminds me of the way that Rice used to make the best chess players play his opening where he sacrificed a minor piece. He was so proud of his opening, the Rice Gambit opening. Nobody plays the Rice Gambit anymore. Anyway.
It's only the first time. The first time. After a while, people get time to practice and think and plot.
Yeah. But it's definitely not an actual good opening. Like I mean, he got Capablanca, maybe the greatest chess player of all time, to take a look at it and study it. So and I think he had him there as in these events where he right. So and I say maybe the best chess player ever because if you look at if you exclude people's knowledge of the opening book of chess openings and just look at their game outside of that, and you compare human play with the best computers, then Capablanca in his prime and Bobby Fischer in his prime are the two that are up there, like above everybody else. And so Jose Capablanca might be the greatest chess player of all time. Now, clearly, because people do learn openings, he probably would have lost badly to Fischer in his prime. And I wouldn't be surprised if Magnus, the current champion, could beat Fischer in his prime against Magnus in his prime as well. So Magnus clearly has studied the game and knows that, and plus he's learned from the computer models and things, right? And so Magnus might actually be the all-time greatest because he is the greatest now and he's had all that knowledge to build upon. But again, just looking at how well they play outside of the opening, Capablanca is probably number one and Fischer's probably number two.
I like the King of France and the Three Musketeers when he just knocks all the figures down and he's like, caught you by surprise.
I was half expecting you to say it's good to be the king and refer to history of the world.
Yeah, part one. It's good to be the king.
Anyway, that's all. I'm the queen. Anyway, we only got like 10 minutes left, and I was going to try and find my lemon. Anyway, the point is, he sent this email that basically confirms Lemongate. His people asked his minions if that was real, and they confirmed that yes, that was a true email when he confirmed Lemongate. Lemon tree refers to a family tree, lemon being yellow and term used for gold in ancient history. Dani is the only character who speaks of her golden blood. It would make sense that it would be tied to her. But so Preston would argue that it's actually, and given how often my dad would sing the song whenever relevant, he would argue that it's specifically Peter, Paul, and Mary. And it's, again, I do remember my father constantly saying, remember the lemon tree. Maybe we should look up the lyrics. Lyrics, lemon tree, Peter, Paul, Mary. Oops, I'm searching my keep notes. That's not what I need to do.
Hey, I got a question for you.
When I was just a lad of 10, my father said to me, "Come here and take a lesson from the lovely lemon tree." Okay, sorry, go ahead.
I don't know. Daenerys Stormborn, right? We know bastards that are born in the Stormlands are called Storm. All right. We are told where the Tower of Joy happens. Um, the Red Mountains of Dorne at their back. Could the Tower of Joy actually have been in the Stormlands? The most obvious place to to lie low was underneath the nose of Robert Baratheon
Well,
himself.
and I've always wondered if it's a hint that Danny is actually a bastard with the
Right.
Stormborn,
Yeah.
right? Because Storm can be the name of a bastard, right?
Yeah.
I've always wondered about that too. So yeah, maybe. Plus, you've got the storm of blue roses in Ned's when Ned actually has the Tower of Joy. There's specifically a storm there.
Yep.
The song I sing is from Cream in my intro. That song I sing is from Cream in my intros. Okay. Well, this
Okay.
is okay. Well, anyway, Lemon Tree, Peter, Paul, and Mary is the one that I do think is George is referring to. In fact, um, then I think Preston gives some examples that he's got chapters that are named after Peter, Paul, and Mary songs, including Lemon Tree. And like I said, my father would say would sing this way too often when I was growing up. It's a blood group so rare. About 50 people in the whole world have it, and majority Australian Aboriginals referred to as golden blood, and they would parallel children of the forest. I think. Yeah, people don't realize there's actually a lot more to blood than just A, B plus and minus, and whether you have A, B, and plus. Um, so they mark whenever I donate blood, I get marked as rare, which is pretty weird because I am A positive, which is like the second most common blood type there is.
Mhm.
And it always says rare. And finally, I said, why am I rare? why is my blood so rare? What is that? And they said, oh yeah, you have a little e negative. That's the rarest marker that there is. And I'm like, what? And so I looked into it, and yeah, when they talk about the different RH factors, there are times
confirmed.
There's times when and maybe it's a little E positive, I don't know, whichever one is the rarest thing that there is. Anyway, within the RH factor, sometimes you do need an exact match, and um, and so whatever this little E thing is that is the one that's the biggest to 99 to 1 or less than 1 or whatever it is, whatever the thing is that has the least percentage of within the RH factor, I apparently have that. So, I think it's little E.
Day blood because I had never even heard of that.
Oh yeah. Outside my window. Yeah. I'm hearing your voice singing it now that you're talking about it. Anyway, also Ned lifted the siege of Storms at Storm's End. It would be a quicker journey if it was in the Stormlands. Yeah, that makes sense. Outside my window is a tree. Maybe that's why he did it in the first place. Jerem does multiple references. So, oh yeah. It's always more than one at the same time. But also in some ancient cultures and myth literature, for some reason, apple trees were referred to as lemon trees. So Rowan Gold Tree, that apple she wrapped in her hair comes to mind. Okay. Anyway, the point of the Lemon Tree song is he's telling you don't fall in love. He's telling you that lemons are deceiving, right? So
Don't fall in love. Love is the death of duty.
don't put your faith in love, my boy. My father said to me, I fear you'll find that love is like the lovely lemon tree. Lemon tree is very pretty and the lemon flower is sweet, but the fruit of the poor lemon is impossible to eat. Lemon tree, very pretty, and the lemon flower is sweet, but the fruit of the poor lemon is impossible to eat. So anyway.
You got a lot of lemons associated with Sansa, with Dany.
What's Rowan's backstory? We're going to have to wrap up here pretty soon. Do we want to try and get to a stopping point, or do I need to just stop where we are here? Let me see. Let's just stop where we are. Let's just stop where we are. There's too much left. I don't think I can.
Yeah, jabbered a little too much.
Yeah.
Which
Well, that's what
ends
we're
up
here
being
for. We're not here to read Toodles. We're here to talk about A Song of Ice and Fire and digress. And Dornish marches as the Stormlands. Is Daenerys a bastard? Who are her parents? Well, I think they're Rhaegar and Lyanna, and that it's basically a bigamy, and that they're bastards in the same way that the English descendants um, are bastards. That the English claim is through a bastard, and that Richard III was telling the truth, and that George is constantly referring to Richard III and hints that Richard III that he likes Richard III as the protagonist. He specifically says Thomas D. Costain is as the historian that he likes. When History of Westeros got to interview him, he specifically snuck that in he likes Thomas D. Costain or B. Costain, whichever one it is, Thomas Costain. Anyway, now I can't remember. Anyway, the point is that the last Plantagenets, Thomas.
Which if Danny is the third baby, meaning Val, Fagon, Danny, all three born of Rhaegar and Lyanna.
B. Costain, sorry.
The season 8, John, the Rhaegar was Elia was set aside, the annulled, and then he got to marry Lyanna, making John trueborn. It was a bunch of BS. Then there is no marriage between Rhaegar and Lyanna, only the child, or in this case, children, meaning all three are bastards. Which,
well, they're bastards in the sense that the English claim was not real, right? It was it's hinted that that's also what happened with the Blackfires. So as Preston says, you don't have a secret fake marriage, right? So
right.
So Aegon IV was married. So he became a biggest. Now you can argue, well, all the Targaryens descend from the second marriage of Aegon I. So therefore that has to be legitimate because that's where they come from, and Targaryens are allowed to be bigamists and so forth. And that's kind of the point, is that that George is throwing out there this idea that this is a story about bigamy, that this is a story where the claim comes from the second marriage of someone. That's what he's doing. That's why he keeps referring to Richard III. That's if you ask the question, what are Egg's reforms? The answer is Egg is Richard III. It's always Richard III. Tyrion is Richard III. There's lots of hints that he's Richard III and references to Richard III with him. Stannis is Richard III. Ned is actually Edward IV and Richard III. Anyway. One of her parents has to be either Ashera or Arthur, I think, due to her looking like Ashera. Shara. Well, that may be to tell us that Quaith's eyes are in fact the color of Shara's eyes, but that Toodles, we should definitely do Toodles' theory on that. So Toodles believes she's a literal child of 3. George, in his books, the interregnum. Hey, deck of cards, good to have you here. In George's books, the biggest period, the most important period, is called the interregnum. In Irish myth, the 5-year gap before the Red Sky comes to power is called the interregnum. The Red Sky is a literal child of 3. He has 3 fathers. 1/3 of him looks like one father. 1/3 of him looks like another father. 1/3 of him looks like a third father. He's the product of incest. He engages in incest. He's the High King of Ireland. So anyway, yes, the idea that Danny would actually have literally 3, which is where Toodles comes in, right? Toodles actually believes that Arthur Dayne is also Danny's father, and that kind of gives you the Chimera theory about Tyrion being in there, and this concept of people having multiple genes and so forth. So
that's early on in the book that he is referred to as a gargoyle.
Yeah, well, multiple times he is, and it might even be in every book that he shows up in. Anyway, let's wrap up.
Well, does Sir Arthur Sir Barristan Selmy say that she looked like Ashara, and G.R. Mormont said He looked
The same
like
eyes.
her high tower wife. So
Yep.
she looks like several different women in the histories of the book.
How many times has George written about incest? I don't know. I was referring to the actual myth of Irish mythology. I wasn't actually referring to George's writing. I'm saying that he has chosen the name interregnum as the most important time period of his Thousand Worlds history. And the term the interregnum refers to the 5 year gap before the Red Sky comes to power in Irish myth. So, and he wanted there to be a 5 year gap before Danny comes to power in these books. So this idea that Danny could be a literal child of three, which is what Tudis believes, I'm definitely open to that.
Yeah. And what the gods gave her, they kept from Tyrion, also being possibly a child of three. In the movie Twins, he was not the tall, muscular one.
Does George R. Martin write about incest outside of A Song of Ice and Fire? I'm guessing that he does in at least one. Oh, by the way, forgot to mention that Severian, the main character in the Book of the New Sun,
Mhm.
I think I mentioned he kind of goes on to become hive mind time traveling god king. That he finds at the beginning of the story, he finds his pet next to a dead dire wolf. He's kicked out of his house and sent north past an impossibly tall wall. If you went only by the description of the wall up close in the first book, it would be 780 feet tall, but everybody refers to it as being 3,000 feet tall because of how far away it can be viewed in later books. He begins his journey to becoming a hive mind by engaged in a cannibalistic ritual in which he eats one of the few people he loves. He goes past this giant castle, and they send him this naked slave girl to have sex with him named Pia. Anyway, the point is that he acts as part of the whole resurrection and time travel and all that. He actually does have sex with his own grandmother.
Adventures of Remo Williams.
Yeah, there's definitely some incest going on there. Stupid Copilot search gave me the wrong answer. What a surprise. That's what I get for not going over to Google. I am definitely not impressed with. Just Steven incest says work outside of Song of Smoke. There you go. That's exactly what I was asking. It is less prevalent and often serves as a different thematic purpose, just to showing the decline of a family line. This is why really are here examples of incest. The skin trade. Oh, okay, yeah, okay. Limited number of elite families. The inbreeding is linked to a decay of their werewolf talents. Tough Voyaging. When does the? Okay, I've read all of Tough Voyaging. Manipulation of genetics. Okay. This, I'm laughing at what Gemini says here. This is funny. According to analysis by on Fattest Leach, out of over 70 stories analyzed, incest is only addressed in about 7 of them. It's only 10% of the stories are about incest.
There you go.
Oh, it's funny. Sorry. Only 10% of the time. That seems a little high for your average author.
Yeah.
You think telekinesis exists in A Song of Ice and Fire? Yeah. Yes, I do.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, I do. Anyway. All right, let's wrap up. We're 4 minutes over.
Yep. Appreciate everybody for joining us today. It was a fun conversation. I enjoy when we get to kind of go over a couple of different topics.
Telekinesis.
Yeah. And we'll see y'all here Friday. It is a Danny chapter. All right.
Meat House Man is probably his most famous blatant telekinesis story. anyway, it's kind of an analogy for someone with a broken heart just dedicating themselves to themselves in a sexual manner in a way. It's kind of an analogy of that. Anyway, what if Brandon and Liana warged into wolves and Brandon also warged Rhaegar all at the same time while Rhaegar and Liana were doing the two fathers? Would be Brandon, Rhaegar, and a wolf. All right, let's wrap up on that note.
Friday. Y'all have a good. Take care and bye. Bye, Richard.
Talk to you this on Friday.